All right, Bohannons, want to show you what's going on with Jade, show you the next step in our process, and again I want to continue to reiterate that I'm doing these videos backwards of how I normally do them, meaning I'm showing you the first day of each step. I don't do that for anybody else because usually I want the dog to be proficient in what they're doing, but this obviously is a different scenario since I'm trying to kind of explain the process. So the bottom line is Jade continues to be amazing. Very, very, very happy with Jade. In fact, I'm so happy and I'm proud of her that I had a client come over yesterday who was looking at doing some force fetch. The dog had worked with another trainer and the dog was not doing what he wanted, and I used Jade as the example. And the guy was very impressed with Jade. He actually asked if she was for sale. I said no. But anyway, she's amazing. We're doing great. So last time when we did this, we talked about we were applying pressure to get her to fetch. And she snatches like an alligator, which is what we want to see. That's what we should see. As soon as there's pressure, snatch like an alligator. Now the problem is, we're not going to be able to do that step forever. Pinching the dog's ear works great when they're right here, but we want to extend this beyond where the dog doesn't have to be right here at our side. When we transition to something called forced pile and moving down the steps of handling drills, the dog could be hundreds of yards away from us and we need to apply pressure. So of course, the next step is to use the remote collar. So today is the first time we're doing e-collar fetch, and it's very, very simple. All I'm going to do is I am going to pinch her ear and nick on the collar at the same time. Now, my collar goes up from 1 to 7. She is on a 2. A 2, I put it on my arm. You can feel it. It's there, but it certainly is far from being painful. I have done a little e-collar work with her in the yard before just to make sure she knew what like she had experienced the collar before. She seemed to respond to a 2 just fine. So she is a low pressure dog. She does not take a lot of pressure to respond in normal settings. We'll see how this goes with force fetch. Okay, so this is actually where it gets a little bit tricky to manipulate, because you need to do 3 things. You need to hold the bumper, you need to push the button, and you need to pinch your ear all at the same time. So what I do is I hold the force fetch stick. That's kind of why I like using this canvas one, because I can kind of pinch it between my pinky and my ring finger. And I've still got my thumb available to push buttons on the transmitter. And then I've got my left hand available to hold the dog and pinch the collar. So you're kind of doing 4 things at once. It takes a little bit of practice to hold and do everything all at the same time. So, but before I go into the e-collar, I want to show you the steps that we did this week. So, you know, Jade is staring at this stick because she knows she needs to get it in her mouth, and she genuinely wants to. No, sit. And I'm actually going to take the lead off of her because it's just going to be in the way. Quit. I want this out of the way. Sit. And I mean, anything gets near her, fetch, give. I tossed the leash so she was confused by the leash. Fetch. You know, and I'm not, I mean, she is whoosh, you know, snatching it now. Give. In fact, so much so I have to be careful about where I put my hand because she's so assertive at grabbing it. Now, I can set it on the ground, fetch, give, fetch, sit, and I'll sit here for a second and I'll let her drop it. If I stand here long enough and I lollygag or I don't do anything, you know, and if I tap this, we can try to get her to drop it. Give, I guess not. But I want to be able to set it on the ground, right? So we go with Jade, she's desperate to get it, you know, this is an amazing amount of drive. Fetch, sit, give, and I haven't even had to pinch her ear yet. So, I mean, I even get close to her ear and she's trying to snatch it out of my hand. Sit. Sit! Okay, sit. Now, I want to pinch. I want to get in a pinch that she understands. Fetch. Heel. Sit. All right. So Jade is almost over the top on her fetch drive, which is great. We just needed to get her to understand sit, to understand what we wanted to do and how to teach her that. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to go back to the thing she knows really, really well. Give, which is fetch from right in front of her. All right, now I'm going to hold her again with my left hand. I'm going to hold the stick and I'm going to apply a medium level 2. Sit. And you can see how quickly she's trying to do it. So I'm going to make, every time I say the word today, sit. Every time I say the word fetch, I am squeezing her ear and nicking her collar. And really, she has such a strong desire to fetch, you almost don't even need to pinch her ear. Fetch. Give. Fetch. Give. Fetch. And again, those are all, I'm nicking the collar. Nick, nick, nick. Medium 2, so I know she feels it. But we're doing this, that's the very first time she's done it and she responded perfectly. Give, which means I knew you had pretty thoroughly eat collar conditioned her. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch hands. I'm going to have the transmitter in my left hand so that I can operate it more freely and I can move this all over hither and yon and be able to apply the fetch. So I'm going to go up above her this time, fetch, so she has to go up to get it. Give, I'm going to go low, fetch, give, I'm going to go to the ground, fetch, sit, give, heel, sit, out in front of her, fetch, fetch, sit, give. That time she hesitated just a second, so I immediately repeated the pressure. Fetch, fetch, good. Give. Most dogs going to the ground takes a little while. Again, Jade is just like stellar. This is ridiculous how good it is. Fetch, give, fetch, give, fetch, sit, give, fetch, good. Because I'm doing this without a leash, she's a little bit squirrely because I'm sitting here beside her. But one of the things you'll notice that when you start doing this is she's really tightening up her grip. Jade's pretty bad about playing with it. Give, which is not uncommon in very high drive dogs. But she's absolutely obsessed with playing this game. It's hard for me to even explain. I really ought to show you some of my other dogs, the difference in her versus them, because it's night and day. No dog usually goes through this process anywhere close to this quickly. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 others, heel, sit, give, that I've had in the whole time I've been force fetching dogs that have done it about this fast. But she is amazing. She absolutely understands that when we set this anywhere, fetch, when I nick the collar, give, fetch, give, fetch, give, and now I don't have to touch her ear. See, that's the point. So now, fetch, the dog can be 5 steps in front of me. Heel, give, good dog, right? So that is the transition. Now what I'm going to work on this week is we're going to place the bumper further and further and further in front of her on the ground. So we're going to go 2 steps in front of her, 4 steps in front of her, 10 steps in front of her, and we're also going to be doing this on lead as well. So we want to walk her on lead, say fetch, and have her pick it up. So we'll work on that this week, and I'll show you that sort of as a beginner for our next video. But it's not even fair to show this in a video, because this is the dog you would put in a movie. Like if you were doing a training video on, hey, this is how you make your dog look great, this is the dog you would use. She's doing awesome.